Okay, BugeyeBob here with an announcement. The Panhandle British Car Association's annual Brits on the Bay Car Show is on April 18th, 2026 in Seville Square. That is at 311 East Government Street in Pensacola, Florida. The marquee car for this show is the...
Wait for it!
Bugeye Sprite. That's the frog eye to you foreigners. Visit pbca1.com and click on the British Car Show button for more information. I will have a link down below also. Hope to see you there. Lazarus obviously isn't going to make it for pretty obvious reasons. But I will be there. I've been to their shows for the past 2-3 years. It is a fantastic place to see a lot of older, newer British cars, British motorcycles, everything from MGs, Morris Minor Minis, I saw Mini Moke there. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And a couple Rolls Royces, E-Type Jaguars, really just a fantastic show. Even if you just want to go and spend a couple of hours to look around and see what people have out there for cars and just get away from everything else in life for a bit. Lots of fun. Please show up. Looking forward to seeing you. BugeyeBob. Now let me carry on for this video. Okay, BugeyeBob back here again. Now then, why, you may ask, am I putting white masking tape all over the ass end of this car? Well, my friend, it is because I am making a flexible shape pattern of this rear quarter panel, rear wing, whatever you want to call it. Now, why on earth would I want to do that? Because the one on the other side is all buggered up. And I may have a picture. I'll try to make sure I have a picture to show you of it. You'll notice some discoloration right here. This, I thought there was a dent there, so I pushed it out, and then I realized, no, that's the natural way that's supposed to curve in, so I had to do some heat shrinking there. Is it perfect? Hell no. Is it better than it was? Yes, because there actually was a dent there before, and I took that dent out, and it's back to where it's pretty close. I want to get this as close as possible before I make the flexible shape pattern. I'm making a flexible shape pattern that goes from up here down to here because I've got one that I made from the other side that covers this side. I suppose I could actually make one that covers all of this side, but that seems a little bit excess since I've got the other side. And this side, by the way, had a big dent right in here. I took it out, so it's mostly out now, but I feel a little bit right there. But anyways, so that dent was in there before. So, what else is going on? Well, I am also making a flexible shape pattern that covers this half of this rear deck. Now, why on earth would I do that, you might ask? Well, because that half is crapola. So, if you want to know what this side's supposed to look like, you take and make a flexible shape pattern of this side, and then you flip it over, and that shows you what the other side was supposed to look like. I have gone through and done some straightening of dents in here, in here. This was pressed in quite a bit. I popped that back out. All trying to get as close as I can to the original shape of the vehicle. And how do I know what the original shape should be for this? Well, the light mount that went on here had the shape that it was supposed to fit to. It obviously didn't fit to what was on the car at the time, so I took it off and bumped it all out, and hopefully it's getting fairly close. Now, why else go through all of this? Well, because of this, which is going to go in there something like this, roughly. And this is going to be the cutout for the trunk lid that I'm putting in. So with this flexible shape pattern, I can get this other side straightened around and into condition. Then I can cut out this part right here and then flip it over and cut out the part for over here, something like so. I'm up above the light. I'm up above right in here is where the Sprite pattern goes, or the Sprite logo goes. I don't know exactly where the other screw hole is, but it's right in here someplace. I am far enough this way down that I miss where the hardtop goes on, so I think that makes things good. I am now going to continue on making the flexible shape patterns. I'll show you a little bit of how I do that. There's other videos out there that you can watch, but then you wouldn't get my sparkling personality and wet, basically, like this. Trying to keep these as close to each other as I can as I go down through here. Now, I had been using my fingernail and my thumbnail to flatten this stuff down, but I found this piece of fiberglass, or I'm sorry, let's call it a Bondo applicator. Works absolutely fantastic. Beauteous. Yes, this is kind of long and tedious doing this. Well, you've seen the general idea. The next thing is to be putting layers of the nylon filament tape on it at 45-degree angles. I'll put a layer on this way, and then I'll put another layer on this way at 90 degrees to it. Put some markings on it so that I have some gauge points, make some gauges. While I'm thinking of gauges, there's a company called PensacolaBoxes.com. I'll put the name up above. I was looking for some cardboard large sheets of cardboard, kind of like this, that I could use for making these patterns like this with. The last piece cost me, I don't know, 15, 16 bucks, and I got it from Office Depot or Office Max or Office something or other. Basically, it was for kids to make science displays, you know, their project display boards. So I saw that these folks sell shipping and packaging supplies, moving supplies, and things like that. So I stopped in and asked them, you know, you got anything like this? And sure enough, they did. Not sponsored, but they gave it to me at an incredibly reasonable price. So I would say check with your local cardboard supplier, moving supplies company, in particular ones that make like custom pallets for people and do that sort of moving and shipping product sales, and see if they've got something. You never know. They may have damaged sheets. These have had some staple holes and things in them, which they're willing to get rid of at a very, very cheap price, because it just, you know, it's better than them having to throw this into the trash and then pay to have the trash hauled off. So consider that, and that is going to keep me busy for a while. So I will be back to you when I get this wrapped up. All right, so I got this flexible shape pattern done. Haven't taken it off. This is the one that I created from the other side, and this is why they call it a flexible shape pattern, is because you can flip it around, line it all up, and there's your shape for this side. Don't have it quite lined up perfectly, but you get the general idea. I got all of these patterns made, which go from A B, these are templates actually, not patterns. C, D, flip back down to this one, and you can see I've got marks in here that line up with each of these lines on the flexible shape pattern. So you line that up like that, line your marks up, and this gives you what the curvature should be. Beauteous. This one here, same thing. Run you around this way just a little bit. There is A. Is that A? No, that's number 1. This line is 1, this line is 2, line 3, line 4, line 5. A, B, C, D, just like that. There's the next one. Goes right there, like that. A, B, C, D. This top one lines up with the top of this ridge right there. And what was that? There's 3. Boom, just like that. 4, just like that. And finally, 5 lines up just like that. Beauteous. So the next step is going to be to finish off the flexible shape pattern for this half from here over this way. Why only this half? Because I need this pattern to fix the stuff that's bad on this side over here. Definitely don't want to make a flexible shape pattern off of that mess. So, onward and upward, continue on with this. Okay, so I've got the base tape laid down on this area in here. You'll notice that there's a number of places like right here and some other spots down here where it's a double layer of tape, and you can tell it's a double layer because it's extremely white. That double layer has to come off. Now you might wonder, why does that double layer have to come off if you're going to put another layer of tape over it? Well, the reason is this white tape is low tack. It doesn't stick worth a damn. So what happens if you put another layer of tape over this with a double layer of this stuff, then the good tape sticks to this but doesn't stick to whatever's laying underneath of it, and it separates and it causes a problem. So I've got to go through with a knife now and trim all of these double layers off. Then I can put my white filament tape on, and I'll put that on in 2 cross layers like this. I think I'll start going this way first because I've already got a layer of the white tape going in here. I probably should have just run it in lines, but I didn't. So I'll start by crossing this way first, down through, then come back and cross it the other way, and that will give me the full depth that I want. Before I do that, though, I will go around and I'll put my blue tape for edges around here, run a lip along this edge, and put some marks in here explaining some stuff. One of the things that I found that I could not see until I was actually putting a tape on is this rear deck got dented in a big area right around, starting right about in there. So that area right there is dented in. There's no way really to get in and push this out before I make that flexible shape pattern. However, I don't think it'll be a real problem for the flexible shape pattern because that has a little bit of give to it. So you can see coming right around about like this is where that dent is. It, you know, odd that it just works out that way. So that's where we're headed on things, and I will bring you back after I get the double layer of tape on, show you one final look at it. I'm halfway done on this flexible shape pattern. I've put some notes on it, which are kind of important. Things like this is where the Sprite logo goes, so there needs to be holes there and there. This is where I've got the outline of the trunk lid, the offset from this front edge of where the trunk lid's going to end up going. And it's kind of hard to see, but if I pull in a little bit closer, you'll see that there's areas that I've outlined in either solid purple lines or some dashed purple lines, circled them. These are dents, circled with a D. This is a dent here. This is an area where there's a very, very slight dip. This is a ridge where, for whatever reason, it doesn't feel like there's a dent in any of this area, but there's a ridge that runs right along here. So why put those on a flexible shape pattern? Well, the reason for putting them on a flexible shape pattern is that way I know that this flexible shape pattern may not sit perfectly flat on the proper curvature over here. And also, as a reminder, it was almost impossible to see these things before I put the tape on. To some degree, it was almost impossible to feel them too, because they're just, hard to find. But now that this tape's on, I've got them outlined. Coming around here to the back, you can see that I've got the split line where the T-molding goes, a couple of small dents. This is a hole where the rear bumper, whatever you want to call it, mount goes through. And then, again, the little holes where the Sprite logo goes, and then these other little holes that match up with things. And also, these lines, these purple lines, outline where the license plate sits. This is, they have the huge license plate depression for English-style license plates. U.S. license plates are typically going to be shorter this way, fatter this way. What else is there? This right here is where the license plate tail, or the light for the license plate goes, sticks out like so. So I've got to cover this down with the nylon filament tape going in the other direction, and then I can very carefully peel this off. What do I need to, I spent a lot of time rubbing this tape down real tight, and the good thing about it is it gets the shape real good. The bad thing about it is that when you go to pull this off, it's difficult, even despite the fact that that's a low-tack tape, it's difficult to pull it back off again. Now, if we go in, if you look real close, you'll see here's a line here that basically goes down to the base metal, and you might think, well, that's going to be a problem. No, it isn't. The reason it isn't is because once this comes off, it gets coated down with talcum powder. Ray Chalene on his website uses plaster of Paris. I don't like plaster of Paris because plaster of Paris is hydroscopic, which means it absorbs moisture. So every time that you use the pattern after that, flipped over, you're going to end up getting plaster on whatever you're doing, and there's a tendency for it to draw moisture, which leads to problems. So I've got a ridge right here that goes down into a dent, but there's actually a ridge around there. I've got the outline of those. Once I get this cut out for the trunk lid, then I'll be able to get in and work these areas with a dolly and hammer and get them much better. And that goes for the same for the ones further back up. Next step is to lay down nylon filament tape in this direction at about a 90-degree angle to the last section, so they'll be in there like this, this, and this. Beauteous. Onward and upward. Got this all done, made the patterns. I've only made 2 of them. They're both pretty close to each other. I also made, because it was going to be an absolute pain trying to get all this in one pattern, I made these partial patterns that fit on the ends like so to catch the part that goes down around here. The first one, here's the second one. So those are all done. So I'm not at the point of peeling all of this flexible shape pattern off. And I have to be very careful while doing it because parts of it shit, where am I at here? My blue liner tape doesn't want to come up as easily as the white underlayment tape does. Once I get things started, hopefully it'll be. Now, you know what? I got a solution for that. Well, that blue liner tape's giving me fits, so I'm just going to take it off. I can put it back on again when I am done. This is a problem. made a bit of a mistake by putting the tape on in 2 different directions. It's going to take a little bit more effort to get it off, but it will come off. I'm going to stop right now. I'll fix the blue liner tape issue right now. That tape shows the fold lines. The hell of it. See if I can finish pulling this off of here. Another little clue, if you can see, right in here, you see how I've cut these at an angle? Those angles make it easier for that tape to stay stuck down. So don't do that. There's 2 of them that there's a 3rd one right there. Okay, that's pulled up. That's coming along good. I think I'm going to take a second and pour some more powder on that so it doesn't get stuck on itself. This part in here is touchy because we've got a lot of shape in the car, right? We're coming into that deep crease right here. And that's what I was afraid of. Oop. There's a piece of tape not wanting to come up. There's a little piece of tape that didn't come up. Good. Oh wait, that's okay. There's a double layer of tape there, so that's okay. I got a spot right here I'm going to have to fix. Right now I'm running into spots that are not coming off clean. So I'm going to reverse strategy a little bit. I'm going to reverse strategy a little bit and pull up from the bottom down here instead. As soon as I can get my hands on someplace I can pull up. Let's get this around like this. tape doesn't seem to grip the white tape as well as the nylon filament tape does. And there's one piece of tape right there that doesn't want to come loose. There we go. All right. Now let's de-stickify that thing. Oh, there's a piece right there that needs to get put back in. All right, let me take this outside and shake it off. Get rid of the excess powder. Let's see what this pattern can tell us about this side. This has to reverse in right here, like so. This needs to come back up like this. I need a couple of magnets. So one of the questions I've had all along was, how much did this damage in here pull this around that way? And based upon what I'm seeing, it's pulled it over, I'd say, half an inch right in here. And maybe the same down in here. So this has to move this way as this damage is repaired. Whoever tried to repair this couldn't get in to the inside to repair it, and so it's just a hell of a mess. But if I get it to the point where this sets down smooth over it all, then I'll know that it's at least the same as that side, whether it's right or not. And symmetry is what's important. Does it have to be correct? Hell no, it has to be symmetrical. So if you're wondering why go to all the trouble of making this flexible shape pattern, doing all that work, it took me many hours. I would say 6 to 8 hours total to do this flexible shape pattern, this one up here. Probably 2 hours to do the other one that was on the bottom on the other side. Why spend all that time? Well, here's the problem. I can't buy this piece. This piece, the rear wings, I think are $1,200 each. Just the very bottom part down here. You see that? Just this very bottom part from like here to here, they want, I think, $350 for each one of those. So I can't buy this. I can't afford this. I think this is a bit outrageously priced. So I am going to fix these myself. In order to fix it myself, got to have some idea of what's right and what's wrong on each side, and some way to get in and fix it. So the way to get in and fix it is to cut this out, put in a trunk lid, which I have no idea. Well, I do know why, because it would cost them money to put in a trunk lid. They probably saved, I'm guessing they saved 20 pounds a car, which in today's money would be a lot per car, by not putting in a trunk lid. So that's what it's all about. Okay, that's going to do it for this week. I think I've kind of given you the idea of, in order to repair this and the bottom back here on each side, I've got to have some way of accessing it. So before I can do any of that, I've got to cut the hole in here. Before I can cut the hole in here, I've got to know what kind of damage was done on the right-hand side. So the only way I can know for sure what that is by making the flexible shape pattern. So flexible shape pattern leads to being able to cut out the hole in the trunk. Cutting out the hole in the trunk leads to being able to repair the damage in the deck, the left and right wings, the left and right rear wings, the bottom of the left and right rear wings, the bottom rear of the car here below the license plate area. Also, it allows me to get in at the piece that's the brace that hooks into all of this in both places, as well as the brace that goes in on each side. So one thing leads to another. Everywhere along the way, one damn thing leads to another. Now then, like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the little button down there with the bell to get notified. Tell it that you want all notifications about what's posted on this channel. That way you'll get notified whenever a video goes up. Subscribe over on Patreon if you can. A couple bucks a month, I don't remember what it is. I think it's $4 a month. I may create another tier that's less than that. I haven't decided on that yet. If you want to make a one-time donation, buy me a cup of coffee, then there's a link down in PayPal where you can do a one-time donation. If you want to make it a recurring donation, link to PayPal down below in the description where you can do that. And in the meantime, folks, don't forget about the upcoming car show in Pensacola. PBCA, I'll put a link to their website down below. The Bugeye Sprite is their show car this year. That's what the show is centered around. That doesn't mean that they're not going to have lots of other British cars. They'll have MGs, MGBs, MG midgets, hopefully, Bugeye Sprites, minis. There was a mini moke there last year. Rolls Royces, shit, you name it. If it's a British card, it'll probably be there. So until next week, thank you very much for watching. You folks have a fantastic life and a blessed day. BugeyeBob, over and out.